All right, friends and fiends, let's go ahead and get started with today's stream. So, I'm so excited for today's stream because we're finally going to jump in. We're going to start our very first session of A River Apart, our new solo actual play. So it's going to be a lot of fun. For those who are new, in case you haven't been with us, because we've been doing the world building and doing the setup for the campaign, kind of what it's going to be like, and trying to put some parameters around us so we kind of know, give ourselves a little sandbox to play with, both narratively out kind of what we want out of the game, as well as a true geographical sandbox, is building the map and putting points of interest in the maps and doing all that stuff. Well, also leaving plenty of places for us to explore, which is going to be a big part, especially once we get to our little homestead. But I've been really excited for this. I have been, so you should definitely go check those out if you haven't done that. Nothing, but you don't need to. Everything's going to make sense. But if you want to see the world building in the process and understand more about the world and everything that's going on within it, those are super helpful contextually. But you don't need it to understand what's going on. Let's see. I've had this idea for this campaign for a long time, many years now. And I always wanted to, really I wanted to play in it, but I was also open to running it. But it's also, because it's going to focus so much on downtime, the slow times in between adventures, and some of that manorial, like managing an estate or land. It's really a kind of an old school D&D thing, and not really a now D&D thing. They're trying to do it with Bastions, but there's not super great mechanics about it. And so I've wanted to do that for a long time, but it really is for a very specific type of player. And my friends are not those types of players for the most part, so they would not be interested in it. So I don't want to force them into a campaign that they would not be interested in playing in. So it's kind of sat on my shelf here for a while in my brain. I was like, okay, what if I did it as a solo game? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm the one who's interested in it, so it makes sense. So that's what I did. So we jumped in and we built out a little bit of the world, and we've got our new PC, and sort of like with our last solo play series, starting out with Leah, we're going to start out essentially with a 0 level character. So they do not come into D&D, but actually they're going to be even worse than Leah, because Leah was a full-grown adult at least. Reed is just now coming of age. He's roughly like 14 or 15, thereabouts, in halfer years or halfling years. So whatever that is, I don't really keep up with the years as much, but I know they live longer. But I think they still mature at the same rate. So he's about 14 or 15. So his stats are, he hasn't rolled all his full stats yet. He's not great in a lot of things. We're comparing it off of like strict 10s, which is for a commoner, but also for an adult person. And so he has some lesser stats. We can actually take a look. I've got him pulled up. There we go. So over here on the left, we have Reed. This is going to be our 0 level guy. We gave him the noble background, even though he's technically not a noble yet. The halfling. So yeah, now his stats are not great. We were rolling d6s on the stream as we were building the stuff out, and sometimes the rolls don't go our way. So we've got a -2 in strength, a -2 in dexterity, a -1 in constitution, and a -1 in intelligence, but a +1 in wisdom, and a 0 right now. He has 11 in charisma. So we're going to be rolling more dice, so those are going to continue to go up. We're going to do that, I think we agreed on at the end of each of these play sessions, until we kind of get his full stat array that kind of shows his like quick maturation as he's about to do his coming of age ceremony, and he will be fully regarded as an adult, and that's going to force some things by necessity that he's going to pick up and have to essentially become adult. Now that, that's a little gamification, because maybe it doesn't make sense to really physically change all that much in that short of amount of time, but we are playing a game, so it's a game. So we're going to gamify a little bit of it. So we're going to have to suspend some disbelief in our fantasy world, I know. But we're going to have to do that a little more. I'm just so excited about this. I'm almost wondering, like, where are we going to start? I guess we just start by getting into it. So, of course, as we go through this, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in. One caveat is that today there is a St. Patrick's Day parade. And for those who are new to the channel, I'm streaming, hi. Whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, hi. And you should know that I live very close to where they do the St. Patrick's Day parade. So I don't think that we're going to hear any of it, but if it does pick up in the mic, that's just going to how it's going to be. Hopefully it's not so much that it's going to interfere with anything. All right, let's, I guess let's get into it. So we do have an outline. We went over this outline a little bit last time about what our solo session is going to look like. This is our solo session kind of outline, and then I'm going to have a full session doc here where we're going to put our notes, essentially. So, start date is, and we'll go ahead and put the, and this is going to be the spring, actually I'll just say spring weather 21. So that's the time period it is within the calendar year. So it is honestly a little late for what we're doing. So the vernal equinox has just passed. So there was a big spring festival. Usually that's where all these coming of age ceremonies are generally held. All these rites are held. And Reed did go through that rite. But he went through a different one. One of the main things that's going on in this campaign is that there's actually a more invasive religion that's happening. And so now he's going through this other religion's rite. And that's really where we're going to pick up here in this first scene. This first scene is going to be coming of age rite setup. And he's going to have a discussion. All right. So let's set the scene. So it's going to be interior. We're just going to use a little directory language, I think. A little screenplay language just to kind of help ourselves out. Interior. And we'll say reads room. At so to bring everybody back up to speed, as a reminder that our main character, our protagonist, our PC, Reed, is a ward of Prince Hel's. So he's been living here. Basically, ward is just a nice way to say that he's kind of a hostage. He's been a hostage, and he's lived here for many, many years. In fact, he spent, no, not most of his life here, but a good portion of his life here. And so he and Prince Hel's is also very young, and he's maybe 10 years older than him. Thereabouts. So they have a somewhat close, almost sibling-like relationship because they do like each other. So we're gonna step in there. So Reed is in his room. He has these priests, and even though they're probably more acolytes, attending to him. They are finishing painting these strange symbols all over his torso and arms and face. These ritual symbols on him. He prepares to get ready for his rite. And so they're finishing up that as the door opens, and in is going to come Crown Prince Hel's. Just to, yeah, first Hel's, that's what he looks like. Or they look like, I should say. That's what they look like. And coming along with them is a what is the appropriate color? Like pastel green tiefling that's dressed in a very folksy. It's clear that they are an important sort of folksy religion person. They're more like a druid, but a druid in the sense of like historical druids, like a Celtic druid, and not like a D&D class druid. Different kind of thing. He comes in, looks at Reed. The two acolytes are sort of waved off, and they bid their use. They gather up their things and they hustle out of the room. I still don't understand why you're going through this, Reed. I don't think it's a good idea. And I think our main character is... he's wise, he has some humility. I understand for himself. I believe that this opens a bridge in communication. As you're well aware, that I am going to be right up against Magistros Laios's lands. He has converted to this religion. I think it's important that that not become a barrier, or I don't know, maybe an obstacle between us. I just don't want things to start off poorly. Prince kind of like grimaces and kind of walks around him, pokes and prods at the different sort of symbols that are painted all over Reed. I still don't really get it. I mean, you're not a follower of this religion, correct? No, Prince. I am not, but I think it will just be helpful. It will. And then the tiefling speaks up for the first time. She goes, I think what your ward is trying to say is that it's going to loosen tongues. It will allow for flow of information and conversation, trade, negotiations, much more easily than otherwise it would. I will remind the prince that they're sending young Ward off into the wilderness by himself. It's a very difficult thing to do, and I believe Reed is only seeking to make things as easy as possible in an already difficult situation. Prince kind of likes this, I guess. Well, so you just go sit next to a campfire? That is my understanding, Lord. I sit a vigil on the edge of the woods. It's primarily overseen by a god called the Cat. It deals with monsters and the wilderness and the edges of civilization. I think it's supposed to remind a person coming of age the perspective of where they individually stand in the world, I think. The tiefling's like, it's an interesting rite. Well, I'm sure you'll do well. Please make sure to not catch a chill. Take something with you. It's still quite cold out there. Of course. Prince goes, well, I suppose we'll see you in the morning then. And I'll have the attendants come and take you out. Here in a little bit. Get your things together. Yes, Your Grace. And the two of them exit. Do we need to make any sort of roll here? I think I'm going to give... We're going to do our very first roll. I think I'm just going to give Reed just a basic insight check about everything that's going on and sort of his standing at this end of this conversation. How does he feel where he is, both with Prince Hells and... oh goodness, what is her name? Her name. Alright, cool. There we go. We say theys. Cool, which is their title. So yeah, let's do our first roll. See how it goes. So he does actually have a positive modifier, and he does actually have a bonus to it because he's proficient. The sheet. Boom. So he gets +3 to that roll. We didn't roll very well. It's only 11. So we're going to roll a DC. A random DC to see how it's going. Ah, excellent. If you haven't seen me do the 3 dice DC before, the first 2 dice create a bell curve that starts off with like a flat DC of whether it's 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. Correct, I think. And then the third die is just kind of a modifier on top of that. So we rolled a 7, which is right down the middle of the road, which is 10. And +1, which is 11. So we got it right on the die. What do you think? I think the First Hells is very clear about his standing about this new religion, and he's not a fan of it. He doesn't really want anything to do with it. In fact, he's very much against its spread into his lands. I think our tiefling friend, as she and the Crown Prince are leaving the room, he catches a little wink from her, where she's like, gives him a little wink. They're friendly already. Queen gives her a little wink. And he's like, okay, all right. She seems to understand, even though she is obviously an officiate of a different religion, of the religion that Crown Prince is a member of and Reed is a member of. But she understands the political necessities of why he's doing what he's doing. It's very much a Viking being like, oh yeah, sure, I'll get baptized or whatever kind of situation. Like if that's important to you people as far as whether we can have a negotiation or not, I guess I'll get dumped in the river. That's fine. Doesn't mean anything to me. So that's sort of the situation. So I think, as far as any notes that we need to take on this, I don't think we really have necessarily any notes. We know that the prince has clear disdain for the legend in his practices. He understands the politics of doing this coming of age ceremony. And then I think we can just jump forward because I don't think there's going to be anybody else that we need to talk to for that. We're going to jump a little ways away. And time's going to get a little weird here because technically we're going to be jumping back in time at this point. It's a nice day. It's crisp morning. It's spring, but this is very boreal area. It's a taiga area, so there's still lots of snow on the ground that's still melting. Very crisp. Lots of the fields are laying fallow still. Not a lot of people out. Everything's very muddy, honestly, at this point, as everything has started to melt. And there is a half-elf warrior who walks up and gives a little knock on a big door. And I think this is the location that I have not that I have not done yet. So maybe I have. Let's take a look. I think this may be the one that I haven't done yet. Dun, dun, dun. I indeed have not. Right here. Right here. So I should have done this. Yet I did not. But that's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So we have an idea. I have an idea of what this place probably is. But I do want to go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw you guys back to me for a second. Because we're going to have to I'm going to pull up a different document. So... Okie dokies. We know that this is going to be a site. This is going to be a religious site that he's showing up to, that he's banging on the door of. So we can do some rolls. Now, how old is this place? In fact, we'll go ahead and go. Let's look for something. You know what? This is a good one. I think. Yeah. This is Tabletop Audio, by the way. And talked a little bit with the creator of it. Nice guy. He allows me to use this for my streams, which is very kind of him. It's a great site if you like to run D&D and you like to have kind of appropriate background music and ambient sounds, and it's super useful. A nice search feature, or does everything from fantasy, sci-fi, historical, modern, nature, horror, and then just kind of music. So there's a bunch of stuff in here. So highly recommend. Check it out. The Winter's Veil, I think, is going to work for us. A long ride on a snow-covered landscape. That fits in kind of what we're doing. All right. So now we need to make a roll. I rolled a 2, so it's going to be a recent. Let's do it. Oh, okay. Interesting. Recent. Are they fiend theme too? No. What else we need? So we're gonna do 2d12. And we'll try to combine them or put them together. I do have a specific idea of what this place already is. We'll see if the dice fall in line with that. Otherwise, we're kind of overwrite the dice. This one specific instance. 8 and 5. So, a Pilgrim's Rest, hospital, or mission. And 5, a cloister or commune. That's pretty much the one that I wanted to hit. So it is going to be a cloister of some type. This is pretty small, so it's probably going to be priory, I think. Let's see. Actually, you know what? It might be like a Grange. So. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and roll for it then. We can kind of see who's in charge. That'll give us an idea. 9. Okay. Okay, so there's kind of a parish priest. Actually, we already know who's in charge. We already know who's in charge here. Because the person who's in charge of this place, I believe, is Kuin. Yeah. Is in fact Kuin. The person who is at the court with Reed right now. So, and a pretty substantial, pretty important person. So they're actually, those should be like up here. They're quite important. Yeah, I should have rolled up there anyways. All right. So we roll. Cloister commune. I do very much think that this is kind of a an abbey. And the other place I rolled is a Pilgrim's Rest. I like that. We can go with that. So I like pushing both of those together. Go back up here. Pilgrim's Rest and Abbey. It's a big stone building. It's been pretty recently built. I think that the theme that doesn't really pull up too much, other than maybe it's got, because it is overseen by a tiefling, maybe we have a lot of tiefling influence. So yeah, I like that. So we're gonna say that's kind of a note about it. Surprising amount of tieflings. And let's say another. I was gonna say demonic, but demonic's not gonna play into it because we want something that plays into Gertrude, because that's who we're picking up. Another intimidating types. That makes sense for Gertrude. So there is there's a knock on the door. Rap, rap, rap. There's a big leather-bound glove fist knocking on it, and the person that's knocking kind of take a step back so we can take a look at them. We see an older half-elf, sort of graying, got that touch of gray at the corners. Probably in like human terms is probably in his 50s. So a little kind of looking towards maybe doing like a retirement at this point. Trying to kind of look towards that. And he appears to be an experienced warrior. He has a sword at his hip. He has a big round shield slung over his back, and he's wearing a sort of like a chainmail hauberk over his clothes, and then a big traveling cloak over it. After a minute, door opens. There's a number of people there. There's a tiefling that comes to the door. Yes. Yeah, can I help you? Yes, I'm here to pick up a Gertrude. Take her to Prince House. Keep. Gertrude? Yeah, Gertrude. Yeah, okay. And we're gonna give him a strange insight check here. Person's acting a little weird about this. We got Cristof. Here we go. So we got Cristof's stat blocker here. His sidekick, we built him in our last session, and I like a nice little stat block web app that allows you to make stat blocks, custom stat blocks. And I like that for sidekicks rather than making like a full character sheet for them. So he does not have any training there, but he does have a +1 in wisdom. Let's give him a little roll. We'll get our DC. All right, so we got an 11, which unfortunately is just not going to be high enough because DC is 16. So he's like, these people are acting weird, but I don't know why. She brings Cristof inside, and Cristof kind of has a seat in kind of the foyer, kind of like in the front room. You get the feeling like they don't generally let a lot of people deeper into the abbey. Like he kind of has to stay out in the front. He's not of cloth. He's sitting out there and watches this tiefling walk out and start in hushed tones talk to somebody else at the far end of sort of like this entrance hall. You're clearly questioning this orders too. Then there seems to be a moment of realization between the two. Oh. And one of them rushes off to go get them. The tiefling kind of goes back over. Well, we've sent for Gertrude. She should be coming soon. Make yourself comfortable. We'll let you pick up Gertrude, and you two can be on your way. We've got that. Yeah, I'm gonna keep forgetting her title until I've locked it into my memory. Kuin's title. Oasin? No, that's not right. It's gonna take me a minute. Sorry, guys. Coming up with new interesting things. I need to change her thing up there as well. Sathas. Doing. Has sent for her to come to the keep. So grab her. They're acting a little weird about something. But we don't know why. Cristof dealing with people in that nature is not Kristof's kind of strong point. And Cristof has very fastidious appearance. He clearly takes very good care of himself. Some minutes go by, and a large form moves through the door into the entrance hall with Cristof. And Cristof stands up, and we meet Gertrudt. So Gertrudt is a very brawny lady. She is dressed for travel at this point. She has an herbalism satchel with her that's filled with all sorts of things. And what else does Gertrudt have on her? She's got a staff with her. And she is ready to go. She is a Saurian. So Saurian's kind of a custom ancestry in this land. It's just a mixing pot of Dragonborns and lizard folk and Yuan-Ti and anything kind of scaly kind of fits into being a Saurian. In this case, she is specifically a lizard folk. Right? Yes, she has the hungry jaws. She is this light lavender purple, very large. She has a crocodilian kind of facial structure. Very large, larger than Cristof. She sort of like moves into it, but as she moves, she also has this massive book with her under her arm. That's like one of those nice old like medieval tomes that has like the buckles over it that like keep it shut. It's like this massive tome that she has, and it's very clear by looking at Gertrudt that she's a big old nerd is what she is. She's a big old nerd. If we look at her stat block, she has a bunch of skills. As a sidekick, she's an expert, and she is a lore keeper. That's what she is. So she's kind of druid. So she's a druid. Again, more like the religious type. But imagine a druid, but kind of a librarian is kind of her vibe. So she comes up. You are Cristof. Yep, that's me. Good to meet you. Let's go ahead. The two of them shake hands and make their way out. And we have a little meeting just to see who they are. And Gertrudt. So Cristof and Gertrudt for the campaign are going to be our sidekick characters because it's dangerous to go alone when you're playing any sort of solo games, especially with D&D, especially low-level D&D. Especially with Reed, who, again, we don't know right now. He's got no class. And he's got about 5 hit points and no armor and not a lot to his name because he's just kind of a kid. So he's going to have to be relying a lot on his retainers very early on, and then as the adventure progresses, he will probably become more and more powerful than they are. But we don't even know what class he's going to be yet. So I decided to give him sidekicks that was the warrior sidekick, so somebody who could do some fighting. And Cristof has the interception style fighting, where he's able to basically have damage reduction, which is super nice. And then he's got somebody smart with him who's going to be able to do a lot of the things that they're probably going to need a lot of knowledge because they're basically going out into the wild and they're going to have to make their home. So we've got somebody with animal handling and arcana and history and investigation and medicine and nature and perception and religion and stealth and an herbalism kit and land vehicle proficiencies. Gertrudt is very well read. Let's put it that way. And she's got a little bit of spellcasting because she is built off the acolyte stat block. So she's got a little bit of things. She's also got this divine aid thing, which she gets to do once a day, which is super cool. She can cast Bless, Healing Word, or Sanctuary just for free. And she gets to do it as a bonus action, which is super powerful. And of course, she's a lizard folk, so she's also able to just bite people and get temporary hit points, which is fun. Not a lot, but, you know, it's fun. Which I believe she can also do as a bonus action. So she's not a super slouch in combat. And she has natural armor. And they are headed off. Select young Master Reed. As the two kind of go along, they kind of discuss, because this is the first time they probably met. And we learn a little bit about them. I think what I'm going to do is, let's talk about the nature of who they are, essentially. Like, where they come from, why they're here, good stuff. I'm going to use for this, and I was originally going to grab I have some, like, discussion campfire cards that are useful for TTRPG groups, and like, hey, when you guys take downtime or whatever, here's something that like help you bring up some characterization about your character. But I have them packed away because I actually used them yesterday in the session I ran for my friends. So instead we're going to use this guy. This is the Look Dark, actually. Be a bit. No. Okay, so I'll just use the paper one for right now because I didn't have brought up and I don't want to spend time because it's just a one roll. So 2d100 rolls. Let's see what kind of the discussion leads them. 67 and 90. So 67 would be secure, and 90 pure order. So I think the beginning of this conversation begins with the two of them starting to think about, all right, how do we get our ducks in a row so that we're successful? Because this is a monumental undertaking that we're doing. They have a long road ahead of them. They discuss a little bit that Gertrud's a little unhappy because it's already late in the season as far as trying to get a homestead started. Like, we're a little late for missed winter planting. We're behind on all that stuff, so our food supply for the coming winter, which, you know, at this point it's still early spring, is like, yeah, it seems pretty far away, but we got to have food for those months, and we got to figure out what that's going to be and how we're going to get it. And so they're trying to kind of come up with a battle plan or an action plan about what are they doing, how are they going to do that, what are the troubles we might see, and also trying to understand each other's abilities. We know that it's very easy to tell that Lordkeeper Gertrudt is incredibly intelligent, very knowledgeable, not the wisest person in the world, a little strong, and a little charismatic, but otherwise pretty normal. Cristof, however, is stronger. He's got a much more physical build. He's average intelligence, but is kind of across the board a pretty good guy, like a upper ratio kind of guy. Got athletics and intimidation, perception and survival. He also speaks some languages that could be helpful for them as far as what they're dealing with, because I think Gertrude only speaks 2 languages. Yeah, Common and Druidic. And that's kind of the common language here. So in addition, Cristof speaks common, the elf tongue, and being a half elf. And he also speaks essentially Slavic because there's a range of Slavic style languages, or peoples that are relatively nearby, so they might run into some people who speak it. So if so, he can do that. He's also got incredibly good at fighting and protecting people. The main thing. Where he can do while adjacent to an ally, he's gets advantage against charmed and frightened and grappled and restrained saving throws. And he has being a half elf, he has the Mask of the Wild ability, so he can hide very well in the wilderness. All things that are really good for him. The only downside for Cristof right now is that he doesn't come with a ranged weapon. That is kind of the only downside of his. So that's something that we will need to pick up for him at some point. Because there's definitely going to be engagements that they're going to wish that they had ranged for. That is kind of what they discuss as they go about. They learn each other's capabilities, what they're doing, and maybe a little bit about their background. Probably not a ton. Each one of them has been sent by a different person who is invested in Reed's success. And so they speak about an action plan for the coming year. To be successful. And in addition to that, we learn kind of who sent them. So, Ludwig, which is Reed's father. Sent the old veteran, well, we'll say seasoned veteran. The well-seasoned veteran. Veteran Cristof. Obviously, as we talked about in the setup, is that this is, yeah, I guess you're a little bit later. Just a little bit. We've been going for, I guess, about 40 minutes. So we know that in the setup, Ludwig he's a very important person in the court. He's a marshal, right? Or warden? Can't remember. He is an appointed, like, margrave, essentially. But he is appointed, he's not landed nobility. So he has that office through the prince, but it is not inheritable. But he has a lot of power. And so now he's trying to create his own family dynasty. Trying to create a dynasty. And so this is kind of the setup for our campaign, is that trying to get his only son to also become landed nobility. That way they will have, legacy, essentially. Typical parent, head of the family kind of stuff. So he knows that, hey, there are going to be people who are not going to want to see them do that. They have political rivals who are not going to be interested in this sudden escalation of power. So he sent a trusted and, hardened veteran to essentially keep Reed alive. That he is Reed's bodyguard. And this is, I'm gonna get this right. Hasten. That's not right, is it? That's not her name. Doin's name. Sathas. I'm gonna get that title right eventually. It's new. I'm still learning it. I'm about to check. So she has sent Gertrudt, who is probably one of the smartest people in the Abbey. And so she is very friendly with Reed and Reed's family. she is also very close to the prince. Now you can see that there is this political triad that's kind of happening. Oh, we need somebody of the old religion. Oh, we need somebody now to secure the borders close to where this intrusive religion is coming from the nearby lands where people have changed religions. They've converted. So we need somebody there who can stop that, who is a follower of ours, somebody that we believe will take care of the borders and things like that for us. So that's that situation. Tuin as advisor. Crown has sent the incredibly smart, the intelligent Gertrudt. To essentially kind of run that, be the steward, or what would be called like a butler or chancellor. He's basically going to be in charge of like the household and making sure that things get done, and to essentially also be Reed's advisor. She's incredibly smart about a lot of different things, especially things that are going to be very important for their success in certainly year one. And who knows how long this game's going to go? So it could be multiple years, especially because we're gonna try to lengthen it out because should have a lot of downtime. Essentially, major domo. So we have our two retainers meeting, so we're gonna sit the vigil. We'll hop back. Again, time's gonna be a little interesting because we're gonna jump now forward back in time. Exterior, edge of the woods. Single campfire. Dark. With a lone figure. Needed before it. First of all, I think what we need to do is we have to remember that Roy Reed is fully bare-chested. And we did say it's cold. The sun is clearly gone down. He's huddling close to this fire. How's he doing? What we don't want is Reed to get hypothermia right off the bat of our campaign. But he has a -1 con save. But things aren't looking great. So, big money, no whammies. Not great. Not great. It's technically an 11. So, you're ready to fail. We're probably going to fail this. We certainly do. That's unfortunate. No, wait. Ah, we did fail. Alright, that's DC 16. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say that we're going to have our first level of exhaustion. It's also not good for us. That's how we'll interpret that, rather than taking like direct damage. It would be funny, yeah. So he is absolutely getting hypothermic. All right, Reed is starting to get chill. So hypothermic, and takes a level of exhaustion. You think the DC for hypothermia in the new rule book is 15 or 16? Oh yeah, I didn't even know there was one specifically for it. I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's one for cold damage, for environment stuff. So I think he's gonna take a slug from his essentially canteen. water skin that's been prepared with some, let's say, spiritual herbs. Unfortunately, Buddy Boy's probably going to have a little bit of some visions here. So, as he's got this nice warm drink and he's trying to huddle close to the fire, and he's sitting on what is probably like a deer skin or something like that, trying to stay warm. We think a little bit about his backstory. He starts to, in his own silence, stare off into the darkness and start to think about who he is as a person, come from, think about his life up to this point. We think about his backstory. So we did the Xanathar's Guide to Everything, This Is Your Life. We did a lot of those roll tables, and we have some of that information. Now, the question is, do I remember where I put it? Campaign setting. Yeah, here we go. So, we know that he was born in a small village, kind of on the southern edge of the Furstentum, the princedom, essentially. He doesn't have any siblings. And he remembers how bad it was in the village. Technically, how bad his life was before he became a ward of the crown. Remember that he was treated very poorly by his peers, and he spent most of his time kind of alone or actually with a number of adults rather than a lot of kids his own age. And I think I like this because it's reflected a little bit in his, even though he's still very young, his best scores are in wisdom and charisma, like his understanding and his ability to conversate with specifically adults is still quite probably above what an average 14-year-old would be. He pretty much speaks at an adult level, and as the wisdom, he has that insight with him and persuasion and a little knowledge of history and things like that. So he does have some sort of book learning as well. Remember when there was war that came to the village, and he's got a real nasty scar, which now we see across his chest. He has this nasty sword scar across his chest where he was slashed as a child, essentially, even younger than he is now. It's just, okay, so he's lots of isolation, lots of alone, probably gotten picked on a lot by peers, and one of those things where it's like your dad's in charge, and then like there's tension between Ludwig and kind of the people of the village because of his station, and then that kind of trickles down into kids and how they treat each other as they sort of mimic the feelings of their parents without understanding the context of why. And so there is a lot of that. And so actually becoming a ward of the prince is actually a step up for him. So he got sent back there. Very common practice. It's like, hey, if you have somebody who's in charge of your borders, and you want to make sure that they stay loyal because they're appointed official, and they don't actually own that land, you want to make sure that they stay, loyal to you and do the things that they're supposed to do. Maybe you have a ward, which again we know is just a real fancy way to say, I'm going to take your kid as hostage. I'm going to take your heir as hostage for your family. Because there's only the one. He doesn't have any siblings, which is actually pretty rare on Xanathar's Guide to Everything, This Is Your Life tables. Usually end up with a whole bunch. But in this one, we got none. So we know that his parents have sort of a middling relationship with the prince. Like, they're friendly, but it's not close. I think it's thieves kind of close. But in fact, our player character, Reed, has a much better relationship with the prince. Which makes sense because he's been there for years and years. And again, the prince is also very young for a prince. So they've got more in common than maybe the prince does with a lot of other people that he sees in his day-to-day life. And we don't know exactly how many adolescents or teenagers are around. There's probably some. But we don't really know. The situation as a ward was probably much better. Let's put it that way. So this is going to improve sort of our initial title and land claim size when we're going to roll for that. So these are things that he starts to think about. Then starts to think about mother, who is actually from a minor noble family. But she's also very, very ill. The effect has been cloistered away somewhere. We haven't determined where yet. She's been cloistered away basically for a very, very long time. In the way that sort of in the kind of turn of the 20th century, people would be like, oh, well, I went to the coastline because the salt air is good for my illness. Those kind of retreats. So there's like a religious retreat that she's basically at where she's kind of cooped up. She has this chronic illness. So he's thinking about how bad things were, and then that things in his life as he became a ward actually got a lot better, and now he's sitting in a situation where he's going to come of age and he is being puppeted by the people around him. And he's also being sent away from the place that has really kind of, for him, been the only place that kind of felt like home. Instead, he's about to be picked up by two strangers. He knows that they're coming. He knows that Cristof and Gertrudt are coming. And he's... he's real sad about the things. And I think he's probably quite anxious about what the future's going to bring, because he's like, I don't know what that's going to look like, and I don't know. So I think that starts to seep into him as well as the cold does as he finds himself shivering around this fire. Darkness. What he thinks back on his not so great childhood in his home village. Finding his, kind of home as a ward at court, and now thinking of the great unknown before him, as he's behind basically all comfort to be put in the hands of strangers for the gain of those around him. But yeah, it's like medieval times. Princes and princesses were always sheltered and surrounded with guards and servants, and were mostly friends with other nobles and had isolated life due to being forbidden to talk to commoners. Yeah, there's a lot of this is a little bit pretty, I think, when I try to think about the time period, I try to think this game is very much, this campaign is very early medieval, so we're like, I don't think that there's enough. Like at court, he was certainly around a lot of people, but only kind of being a noble, but also being a ward because of his father was an appointed official. He's kind of in a weird spot where he's like not super friends with the nobles, but also he's not friends with like the servants. Kind of in this weird in-between spot. But yeah, it's a lot of isolation for him. probably it has not been a great growing up. It's not been a great childhood in a lot of cases. But being in Ward of the Crown was a lot better than it was back in his village. Where he truly did have that separation from the common folk. Yeah, so that's what I think. I don't think at this point he can even conceptualize what the obstacles for his future is going to look like. He's like, it's just like a wall of unknown, just a fog of war of like, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I haven't been to this place. I don't know what it looks like. I don't really, like right now, his skill wise, he's like, I don't really know anything about how to do any of that stuff. Like he has some basic historical knowledge, so like he's trained in history, so he's well read. He kind of understands some of that stuff, but he doesn't have like any of the nature stuff or survival or animal handling or any of the things that would be like super useful for like creating a home out in the wilderness. He's not going to have any of that. He's very much, it's like he has to rely on these strangers that are coming to pick him up, take him out there. And so he can't even conceptualize what the actual obstacles are going to look like. He's like, I don't know, maybe I'll be rolling around in the mud and I'll just die there, or you know, maybe this will be really easy. I have no benchmark to base it off of. I have no way to truly conceptualize it. So we're going to hop back to our retainers, who are catching up in the timeline now. So, I think that they're probably in the castle town. We'll say, and we'll say interior. We'll say boarding house in the castle town. So I think at this point, Cristof and Gertrudt have finished their trek, which has been a while. They've been walking for a while, and we're not. I think we're talking. By the time he picks up Gertrudt, they may have spent about 2 days together, maybe 1 day, 1 to 2 days together. Cristof has been walking for a much longer amount of time, pretty much by himself. We think. And he might have seen some danger on that road, maybe not. He, in fact, probably has to go through quite a bit of wilderness. Ludwig's lands are very far away, but at the southern end of the princedom, and the prince is at basically the northeast part of it, is where his castle is. But it's been a long walk for him, and he had to pick up Gertrudt, you know, right at the end, really. I think that they have found the boarding house. They've found sort of like their bunks where they're going to stay. They've put all their stuff away, and I think we are going to catch up with them while they are taking in an evening meal here, and we want them to hear about some trouble, because we want to have a little bit of excitement here in our session. We know that the prince has people who don't want to see him succeed, and sometimes don't see him succeed means maybe hurt him or maybe kill him, because he's about to have his commendation ceremony after he finishes this, basically the next day. So overnight is, we got to keep him alive. So I'm gonna roll again on this guy. Again, this is a free PDF you can grab from Shadow Dark website. It's the Solo Dark expansion, which gives you a nice oracle. It gives you prompts, kind of sparks for ideas. Let's see kind of like what they're maybe overhearing, because I think that they're going to overhear something. 72 and 11. So 72 would be contain, and 11 would be contain prosperity. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we know that. So contain prosperity means in a much broader sense, I think that means obviously keep Reed from being successful. So because that contains the prosperity of Reed's family, essentially. But I think in this particular circumstance, how I'm going to interpret that is that they're going to overhear a plot about, I think, a kidnapping. I think they're going to try to kidnap him and ransom him. So I think that that's what they overhear. So I'm going to give each of them a check. They can't fail this check because they have to hear this information for the story to work. So it's really just who hears the information. So whoever rolls higher. So we will have Cristof go first. Well, it's probably not going to be Cristof. And we'll have Gertrudt, who rolls much better. And she's got a pretty decent perception, so she gets a 15. I'm going to roll a DC just to see kind of like how much information they get. 13. Okay, so she picks up. They're having their sort of like evening meal. They're sitting there. They're rolling. They're eating probably at some sort of like forever pot stew, essentially, with probably some bread. Reading that, and Gertrude perks up a little bit as she hears somebody mention young lord. So let's roll to see who these people are. So this is gonna be another D100 because two people that are gonna be talking. I just kind of want to get a vibe for like what ancestry they are. So 85 and 77. And let's go. Alright, so it's going to be a tiefling, and what did I say, 77? Yes. Tiefling and another Saurian. So now we have a tiefling and a Saurian. So here's a question that I want a further clarification. Are they members of the cloth? Because we just came from a place where it had Saurians and tieflings. This will be just a clear... Yeah, I guess maybe this is... this really the question is does she recognize them? I think that's a clear Oracle question. I think, given the likelihood that we were just in a scene with them, I think that's kind of likely. I'm going to roll a d20. We're going to add 3 to that roll. If we roll 11 or higher, then the answer is yes. They don't make dice that go higher than that on a d20. Oh. So she knows specifically these two people. So she immediately recognizes them. Uh-oh. I cannot spell. Recognizes a Saurian. Tiefling. Guessing the or future Lord Reed, I should say. Oh, if I was running on the Mythic emulator, yeah, if I was running, but I'm not using the Mythic emulator, and I have issues with the chaos factor in it. I don't really like it that much. I also think it's a little cumbersome to use. Though the second edition Mythic GM emulator is much better. I do like that a lot better. I like to keep it simple, so just having a D20 roll for me is nice. Or in this prompt, I'm building my own like D100 prompt, I think, but it's slow going. I'm trying to winnow down like 200 into 100, so trying to figure out what to keep in and what to leave. Really difficult. Let's read. They are so druids from her Abbey. So they are druids from her. Also. They are druids from her Abbey. I assume that they are disguised. So they're just guys in plain clothes. I think she'll kind of like give an elbow to Cristof and kind of like nod in their direction. Ones, I know them. They are speaking about the young master. And Cristof kind of like starts to lean in, kind of pay attention. They act real casual. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get, let's say, a deception check. I'll take deception or stealth. I take either one. I don't think it's going to matter for, well, Cristof will probably have a better stealth. Actually, it's not going to matter for him. He's got a +1 either way. Ooh, a 9. And she's going to roll much better, though. Yeah. Much better. She has an 18. So I think what happens is, like, Gertrude removes herself from the situation. Like, she gets up and, like, moves back over to, like, the bar at the tavern or something like that. Like, she moves away from Cristof. But Cristof, it's very clear that Cristof is now listening to these people and, like, looking at them. And they're talking, and they, like, you know, just kind of looking around. And then they, like, lock eyes with Cristof. They get up and they put some coins down on the table and they throw up their cloaks and they start heading off outside into the night. They're like, oh, well, we just got made by that person who just was paying attention to us, so we should get out of here. So they head off, but in doing so, in their hustle to like get out the door, they don't see Gertrude, who has kind of turned away from them and moved across the room in a different direction. So they're going to run outside. I assume that everybody knows for the ceremony is it's a lone vigil, so nobody else is there. It's a very, very delicate situation for Reed. That he, as a young noble, he doesn't have any armor on. He has like a dagger with him. But otherwise is, you know, kind of left to his own devices. He could very much, like, if somebody really wanted to kill him, like, they could kill him. And if somebody wanted to kidnap him, they could very much kidnap him. And so the two of them head off into the night and make their way. So they're going to have to sneak their way out of the castle town, which I don't think is going to be difficult for them. I think they've got a plan in place, so they head out. The question is Cristof going to follow them? Or is he going to wave down Gertrude? I assume he waves down Gertrude. I don't know why he would go deal with this himself. Who do we send? I think they meet very quickly. I think he tells Gertrude to follow them. And that he'll grab his stuff and catch up with him. Because he's not going to have like his sword and shield on him because he's eating. But she doesn't really need anything. I mean, she might actually just have her staff with her. Just as like a walking thing. Let's roll for it. Does she have her staff with her? I think that's 50-50. She does. Okay. And she doesn't have armor. She has natural armor. So she nods and she grabs and starts following these two. Now, she can swim. And I think they've got one person who can swim very well too. And I think that they are going to have to go across the river because there's a big bend in the river and that's where the prince's castle is at. So I think there's a big bend in the river and then on the other side of the river is probably where our boy Reed is sitting his vigil. So they're going to, wade into the marshes, the marshland right there, all the reeds and stuff, and start to head down, link across in the darkness. So here's the thing, is that the Tiefling has dark vision. The Saurians, the lizard folk, do not. So I guess a good question is be like, hey, is there a lot of moonlight out right now? Okay. There's enough moonlight that they don't automatically get dark. This isn't considered darkness. This is kind of a low light situation. So they can see a little bit. They have that basically disadvantage on sight-based perception, but they don't have disadvantage on attack rolls, essentially. So things are lightly obscured, but not heavily obscured. So they're going to try to lose. They're obviously going to try to lose Gertrude, or try to... Well, they're going to hustle. I don't know. Gertrude's had a pretty good stealth roll, so I don't know. I think they look over their shoulders and see that Cristof isn't following them, and then they think that they're okay, so I think they're just hustling. I don't necessarily think that they're necessarily trying to be... I think they're trying to be stealthy, but not in a way like they know they're being tailed. I think they're like, that could have gone really poorly. Let's hurry up and get this done. Let's get our task accomplished. They're going to head out. So Gertrude has a pretty good stealth check, so I don't think she needs to re-roll a stealth check. I think what I'm going to roll for is just to make sure I'm going to catch up that Cristof is basically going to track them. So we'll make a survival roll. He gets plus 32. 16, that's probably going to be good enough. It sure is. Beat a DC 12. So he's able to catch up with them very quickly. In fact, he kind of like pops through the reeds because remember, he's got that Mask of the Wild, so he's just naturally lightly obscured. He just kind of like pops up next to her. So he didn't put on like his chainmail or anything like that, but he has his sword on his hip and he's got a shield with him. So his AC is much lower right now. He's got what, a 13 AC? Not great. These people don't seem to have any armor on them. Maybe they've got some padded, maybe some leather. And those two figures start to bob as they swim across the river. I think the two of them are ducked down. Yeah, I guess we'll swim. Man, I've got a bunch of heavy stuff. This is going to be really difficult. And I think she's like, well, I'll take the shield then. Like, are you sure? It's pretty heavy. She's like, yeah, I'll be fine. And she has a natural swim speed, so she grabs the heavy shield and just slinks off. And in fact, she can hold her breath, so she goes fully underwater and goes like full crocodile style, where it's just kind of like her eyes are above the water as she moves. And just like glides in the darkness. And Cristof will follow. Now, Cristof's still obscured, so I don't think that he necessarily has to roll for stealth at this point. The important thing is I wanted to see if they were going to be together when stuff starts to go down, or if Gertrude was going to have like a round or two before Cristof showed up. But they're going to be together. Let's go ahead and change our audio to something. Good one. Or something, maybe, let's see them all. Something in the darkness, the Nightlands. Darkmoor sounds good to me. So, a little more intense than maybe I think, but yeah, we'll get there. Okay. So they're slinking across this river in the night toward reeds, and at this point, once they start getting across the river, there's only the one campfire that you can see like all around. There's nothing in between like the banks of this river, that campfire, and then beyond it is the tree line. So there's nothing else going on here. The two slink up. They see Cristof. And take off for Weed's location. And our retainers follow them across the river. Tracking their movement. Then I think your ally, because I think at this point we don't really have an opportunity to go here. I mean, we could talk a little bit about why they're invested. They don't really have time for conversation is the thing. So I think we're just going to jump to the vigil point. So, Reed has partaken in the sticky, icky spiritual herbs and has begun sort of... He feels that warmth inside of him grow. That's the coldness that he felt now is being replaced. It starts to feel a little tingly, and he starts to relax. He finds himself staring into the fire a lot, and he's like, I don't know how much time has passed. Time dilation starts to happen, all those sorts of normal things that happen when start to be change, your brain chemicals start to change like that. And I think he sees eyes in the darkness, those trees burning. So one of the things that I wanted to do is I thought this would be a good opportunity to figure out what's going to be the charge on his coat of arms, like the animal or item or what it's going to represent. So he's reaching out there and he sees something start to come out of the forest towards him. And I think at that point we will roll for it. I'm going to throw you guys to me real quick because I got to pull up that sheet. Let me have the sheet. And while I do that, I guess I could go ahead and bring up the Solo Dark stuff too. I've got the Solo Dark. I need... Okay. Let's go back. Here we go. So we went over some of this because we built out the coat of arms for Prince Hells and Magistros Laios and Duchess Ava. Otherwise, we have not talked about yet. But well. This is a really cool document. You can find it for free online. It's very nice. This guy also I can't even remember the guy's name now. Because he doesn't put his name on stuff, which is not helpful for trying to tell people about it. But he's probably better known for a different resource than this one, which is Wilderness Heck Exploration. So it's exploration with an H on the front of it. Which is this is all very, very like super old school D&D kind of stuff. And it's even formatted in that way. But it is very fun. They're very fun resources. They are very noodly, very in-depth, and they are very, very OSR. Very OSR. Okay. So here's our heraldry. So we need to roll a d12 for the table, and then a d20 for the charge. So let's roll it. Let's roll. The d12. So we rolled a 7. Would put us on this one. Which is mainly... This is mainly plants. Let's roll another one. See if we get a better table. Feel like better. 2. Ooh, I like 2 much better. Much better. We're gonna use table 2. And then we'll roll 2d20. Pick whichever one we like. Oh, another natural 20. Oh, a manticore. Or a harpy. I like manticore. Let's go with manticore. So for, let's see, there's got to be stats for a manticore for sure. I know why I said that, like, I was uncertain. There's definitely manticore stats. Indeed. There we go. So, pretty nasty looking thing. It does speak. I can maybe get, like, a full body shot. Do a little Google image search. There we go. Yeah. Fun. Sometimes has wings. I can't remember. D&D 1 have wings? Yes. Alright. So that's what we're looking at. It's a lion with big leathery bat wings and a scorpion tail. So he sees this kind of creature make its way out. We're gonna hop back to vigil site. And spirit vision commences. Manticore walks out of the woods. What do we think that the Manticore has to tell us? A good vibe for Manticore. I think what it might technically kind of impart, knowledge-wise. This is a representative of a deity, because this thing is going to start speaking to him. And, ironically, will be a messenger of the cat, which is the god. And God's the cat, and kind of got a cat thing showing up. Fun. It's fun when the dice line up. So, interesting bit is that right now we don't know if this is a real Manticore or if this is just like part of the spirit vision. I think they're going to speak about what's coming. They're going to prognosticate a little bit. So I'm going to roll again on. Oh, I picked it up. The whole point was to get the. So I didn't have to do that. Here we go. To see what they kind of communicate about a coming danger or the future, or prevent. That's helpful. And 32. Prevent enemy. All right. So maybe this is a direct thing. This thing is reaching out and being like, it kind of lumbers out of the woods. Child. Danger comes for you. While you are smart to be wary about the dangers, my domain, there are more pressing dangers to your life from within your own domain. The domain and keep your friends and allies close and root out the enemies, the sickness that's among you. Cleanse it, and you will survive. Honor me and mine, and you will thrive. And we think we see the Manticore sort of back away into it, and I think Reed's like, yeah, let's give Reed. This is pretty. We're gonna give him a wisdom save because he could be fully afeared of this, and he does have advantage against being frightened because he's a halfling. Isn't that nice? That's pretty good. This guy's a 16. I think that'll probably do it. It certainly does. So he feels kind of rooted to the spot. But I think Reed is rolling right now because I think he is rolling, but he's kind of caught between this area about like now his faith is maybe in question a little bit. He's like, oh well, I follow a different religion, but some sort of messenger of this god has now reached out to me and told me you know, as long as I treat the wilderness and the wilds with respect and honor them, I will be successful in my endeavors, which is great. That's great for us. Perfect. We want that. Absolutely, I want that. But also that somebody is trying to hurt me, and that threat comes from people, not the wilderness. Now that's not super new news for Reed. I mean, he's familiar with court intrigue. He's lived at court for a long time. And certainly he may have had attempts on his life before. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. Because probably people did not see him as becoming a noble. I think this is maybe kind of a left field move. I think that's why people are shaken up by it. So here's what we're going to do. I think it's time that we're going to roll initiative. Because I think we're going to have our very first, essentially probably combat encounter. Now, we're going to do theater in mind for probably most, if not all, of this campaign. So we're not going to have battle maps. We're just going to have to let it roll. That's okay. Cat. Me and mine. Respect. You'll arrive. Beware the plots of man. They will see fail and die. Alright, we'll just make it a little more pithy. The plots of man. And you will survive. And we'll just go ahead and throw these. More pithy when I said it, I suppose. Alright, so we're going to have this combat. So let's do initiative. So one of the ways that I like to run initiative, and I do this often when I am playing, is that I will take 10, essentially, for the bad guys. I'll just take 10, and then the good guys get to roll their initiative. The good guys. So, for that, we're going to need a couple of stat blocks. So I think we're looking at maybe... Move back. The Manticore is not going to be part of this fight. So let's do a little filter. And we're going to really pull this guy way, way, way down. Because I can't imagine that we're going to do anything more than a half. And we need humanoids. No, we could use a lizard folk stat block. Not that. Lizard folk commoner. I think that there'll be lizard folk scale shield. I think it's too high. CR. Yeah, there's CR1. Warden, CR1. Alright, that's fine. We'll just use humanoid. That's okay. Let's see here. Let's get some CRs this way. I think maybe we just go with toughs. Maybe that's who these are. Or we could do a sage. Ooh, I like a red brand ruffian. Yeah, let's do, what's Pirate Bosun? Half's pretty, maybe we'll do 1/2 and one quarter. Just because I don't want it to be too tough. That's bad, because we don't even have, like, our armor on, or we're not kitted out. It's already going to be very tough. They could be bandits. Yeah, bandits is a good call. I'm trying to say, like, have one be one and one be something else, but bandit's pretty good. That's 1/8. That's very low, though. then we might be able to still drow cultists. I think that would work too. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So we'll do a bandit and a drow cultist. Those pretty low, but we don't want to kill people off. I don't think anybody's particularly prepared for a real combat here. But I think it makes sense to maybe use a lower level stat block. So they're going to go on, so they get a +1 and bandit gets a +1. Okay, so they're going to go on 11. So on 11, we're going to have bandit. And we're going to have drow, drow, what are they called? Cultist. Drow cultist. Oh yeah, they could absolutely kill Reed in one turn. A stiff breeze can kill Reed in one turn is the problem. Reed has to be aware of the danger first, which I don't think that he is. So let's roll some initiative, and then I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to refill up on some coffee, and then we'll do the combat. But we'll roll initiative first. So we're going to roll for Reed. With that -2 initiative bonus, he will be getting a lovely 10. So he'll be going in the slow round. Woohoo! Great. Great, great, great. And he's probably unaware. Even though, I guess, it doesn't really matter, though. I guess initiative is technically an ability check. They technically would have disadvantage on that. It's fine. It's not going to really matter. All right, let's go for Cristof. Also in the slow round. Well, that's not great. Okay, well, he ends up with a 7. Then we'll roll for Gertrude. Thank goodness Gertrude's paying attention. All right, so Gertrude has an 18. I don't think she has any bonus. Not that it matters. And somehow, my boy Cristof is even lower. It doesn't make sense. Gertrude swims faster. She knows where she's going. She knows what to do. Luckily, she's very much... she's got some range attack, which will be helpful. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and then we're going to do this combat. So hold on for a second. We'll be back in just a few minutes, all right? let's get back. So we have our initiative. Things are not going to go, well, probably not going to go great, but hopefully not going to go terrible. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the setup is that I think that our friends are on the nearest shoreline now, the marsh, in the reeds. Actually, I keep saying marsh, on the riverbank. In the marsh. In the marshy reeds. And I think well, I'm trying to determine distances real quick. I think that everybody's far from the bad guys, let's put it that way. Which means that I'm thinking that they're basically 60 feet away from each other. So, bad guys have about 60 feet to get to Reed. Good guys, our retainers, have about 60 feet to get to bad guys. So it's a full scale of about 120 feet. It's because of what it is, it's fully just like open ground. That's where they are, because they're at the tree line. The trees are over there. It's just a full 120 feet of open ground. There's not really anything to hide around. There's not really anything to run after. Now remember that there is enough light technically to not impose blindness or darkness, as in the blinded condition for those who can't see in the dark. But they still have essentially light obscurement, so they still have disadvantage on perception checks, but not attacks. Good, because Gertrude's going first. So Gertrude sees these people heading to, at this point they're probably starting to sneak up in the direction of the fire, and we can see like the one lone figure at the fire who's facing the other way, facing off into the trees. She has some stuff that she can do. Let's take a look. On her turn. So, she has some spell casting. She doesn't have any combat spells. Her spell casting is guidance and mending, because those were going to be way more useful. She does have her staff with her, but she has to get there, which would take a full move for her to get there. She'd have to dash to get there. But she could dash and do a thing. Ooh, you know what she could do? That would be extremely... I'd really rather use her Divine Aid once a day, because it's a bonus action. I'd really rather use it to cast Bless on herself and her two companions. But her ability to run up and cast... It would then, I think... what's the range on Sanctuary? Being able to drop a Sanctuary on Reed would be extremely clutch. "30 feet. Dang. They can't get there. Not on this turn. And everybody else is too far, because I think Bless is also 30 feet. Even if she got in between everybody, yeah. But right now, she can get there, or she can use her Radiant Flame, but if she opens up combat, there's potential complications if she's the one who fires the first shot. It's unfortunate, because she also needs to protect Reed. What is she gonna do? Oh man. Does she call out? Take a look at... I just need to take a quick look at sort of her personality. Down here. She's not a talky person, but I don't think she's going to do that. So I think she's just going to position herself. So she's going to do the full dash. She's going to full dash up to them, basically hold out her staff in front of her and be like, "You have to stop now." And Stop now, and I'll let you go. How about that? I think that's maybe what she says. Stop now, and I'll let you go. Stop this right now, and I'll let you go. She might not make a total threat. She might be like, stop this now. I think that's more likely. I will give her an intimidate check, but I can't imagine that they are going to be receptive to this. So I'm going to say disadvantage. Yeah, with a 6 on the die, there's no way. They are not going to be cowed by that. I think they're surprised to see Gertrude. Well, because I think they had left the Abbey before she did. I think they are surprised to see Gertrude here. They're not surprised that Gertrude's like here as in at the castle. They're surprised to see her here as in front of them. So she's going to put up her defensive stance, so that way if anybody tries to go fire, she's going to try to give them a bop with the staff. And they are going to go. But she did call out, so I am going to give Billy Boy's reads. Got a passive perception of 11. I'm just going to roll a DC to see if he's paying attention, because remember, he's rolling and he's got other things he's thinking about. There's a chance that he doesn't. So I'm just going to roll a DC. If we roll 11 then, or lower, then he's going to hear them. Raise the cat, baby. That is that's a whopping 6 DC. So he whips around very quickly as he hears this voice call out. The voice that's like, stop now. Looks around, what? And then sees that there's 3 people he can see. One of them's holding a staff. And they're just like silhouettes. He can't really see anything, but one of them's like big and brawny with the staff. Alright, so he's aware. So no sneak attacks, thank goodness. He now is aware that people are here. Unfortunately, that's the end of her turn. It is the bad guy's turn. They're going to do bad guy stuff, as they tend to do. Who do we want to go first? Yeah, I have the bandit first. We'll let the bandit go first. The bandit. They've got leather armor. They're not trying to kill this kid. They're trying to take this kid. And again, I don't think that they were prepared to have like a knockout, drag-out fight. They were like, we're just going to go grab this kid who's 14-year-old and we're going to kidnap him and ransom him. We assume ransom him. I don't actually know that. They kidnap him. So what are they going to do? I think this is... Is this the tiefling or is this the... No, since our lizard folk is the spellcaster, their lizard folk will be the bandit. How about that? Lizard folk's like, stick to the plan. And is going to... He's 60 feet away. He's going to dash. So he's gonna break, he's gonna provoke an opportunity attack, and Gertrude's gonna try to give him a whap with the staff. Get him, Gertrude. That's gonna do it. D8 plus 1, I believe. Yeah, 19 for sure. It's gonna hit. Yeah, she's got in both hands. So that's a D8. Minimum damage. I mean, she's not trying to kill these people. So, this other Saurian like turns to make the move, and she cracks him sort of across the back. And that bandit is gonna take their 11 hit points, and we'll just build them up. How about that? No, I guess I should probably take it down. I'll need to know that. So 9. Or 9 of 11. Uh-oh. They make it, but they make it, so they are fully on top of Reed. They're going to be... I'll just put them at Reed. Nope, no. Try to pull up stuff. They're at Reed. I'll have to do something other than the at symbol. I realize you guys... See, I've got the combat tracker. Oh no! Hold on. We can do it. We can do it. I promise. Give us a little room here so you guys can see. And we can actually zoom. Probably 150. Just to make it a little easier. No. Alright. Then it is going to be our cultist's turn. Evangel saving throws. They don't have interest because they're a tiefling. But they are going to have some casting. Yeah, they're for sure just going to cast darkness on themselves. Ooh, darkness on themselves or darkness on Reed? I think they may be too far for Reed. Oh, no, 60 feet. Alright. If I roll high, then it's going to go on Reed. That's low. So they poof darkness on themselves. And slink out and will do their full... They'll go 30 feet away because they cast a spell. The darkness, and then that's going to provide them cover unless somebody goes around, essentially. Great. Alright, so Gertrude is... in the darkness. And our Drow cultist is 30 feet away. Alright, so they're moving in on Reed. It is Reed's turn. This person has just come up on them. I assume that they probably have... They're going to try to subdue them, so they probably have, like a... like, I'm thinking like a potato, like a Hessian, like, gunny sack, like, burlap sack that they're going to probably try to throw over this kid. Remember, he's a halfling, so he's small. They're going to kind of throw over him, tie him up, and try to grab him and take him out of here. Stop him from yelling or anything like that. It is his turn. He sees this person come for him. Now the question is, how steeled is he? He has advantage against being frightened. He already was like, I just dealt with a manticore face to face. You just a dude. You just a guy. Question is he's not very strong and he's not very dexterous. Does he go for lethal? I think it's actually very likely that he pulls a weapon on this person because he doesn't know what this person's doing. He just knows they're coming at him. So I'm going to say this is extremely likely. We just need 11 or higher. Just to kind of understand what this character's going to do. Yeah. All right. So he's going to pull his dagger. The only thing that he basically has, and remember, he's like basically bare-chested, got pants on. He's very cold. And he's going to pull free his dagger and try to... He's going to stand up first. And then he's going to pull free his dagger and try to just stab this guy. He could either stab or run away. I think he's going to stand his ground and he's going to stab. He flails at him, misses. He doesn't have anything else he can do. If he moves away, he will provoke opportunity attack, which he doesn't want to do. So yeah, that's just it. He can move through their space. He doesn't necessarily need to do that, though. Okay, so he swings with the dagger, and Bandit dodges out of the way, or dodges and tries to put this sack over this kid. All right. So hold on, nothing. Cristof. Cristof sees a poof, darkness explodes as Gertrude is lost in it, and he sees the others start to rush towards Reed. Cristof doesn't have any ranged weapons, unfortunately, because that's what the stab block he came with. So he is going to run, I think, because I don't think there's anything else he can do. Now, he's still in light obscurement because moonlight is for sure natural phenomena. So he could hide, but he is going to dash. He's going to dash. But he is going to do, like, he's going to use, like, the diagonal square so he's not in the darkness. So he's going to be at 60 feet. That's all I can do. And he's going to yell out for Reed. Reed! Over here! Hurry! Whether Reed knows this is Cristof or anything about that, no. We'll see that. We'll give Reed an insight check. Disadvantage, though, for sure, because he can't see these people in the dark. Yeah, he's like, I don't know who that person is, but they know my name. And they're rushing towards me, but I don't know if they're with the people who are trying to put me in a sack or not. Alright, that's back up at the top. That's Gertrude. Gertrude's in the darkness. Gertrude is going to move 30 out of the darkness. Gertrude moves 30 feet out of the darkness, and this time she will be able to cast Bless. And so she is going to bless all the allies. So, Reed, Cristof, Gertrude. Alright. They're going to get blessed. So that's her Divine Aid, which is a bonus action, which means she still has an action. She could cast a cantrip. So it's an action, so does that count as a spell? She doesn't have any spells, it doesn't matter. They're going to be helpful here. Hey, if that's the case, she'll cast it and then take the dash action. And she'll close. Reed. Defensively with Reed. Go ahead and put it at Reed. And so she now puts herself in a defensive stance with Reed. As this approaches, Reed sees another Saurian coming. Does look like they're focused on the other people, though. I'm going to give him an insight check, no longer with the disadvantage, to try to understand what's going on here. Natural 20. He's like, okay, no, I know who this person is. I think a description of Gertrude was probably given to him, and so he's like, oh, I know who this is. This person's here to help me, and they're clearly. I watched them bonk one of the other people. They're clearly here to help me. That natural 20. All right, so and casted this bless on me. Perfect. Great turn. MVP Gertrude, for sure. What a gal. All right, Bandit's turn. Bandit is going to, I guess what we'll do is we'll be like, he's going to attempt to throw this thing over there, which I think is going to be a contested strength, or it'll be like a grapple check, I guess. So he has to use strength, and then Reed can use either one, doesn't matter, they're both -2. So for our bandit, oh no, we rolled well. Sorry, bud. What's their strength? 0. So he has to roll essentially a 19 to just tie. This is -2. Maybe that's a 0. He's flailing. I'm gonna say when you get a 0 on your check, this bandit like knocks the dagger out of Reed's hand and throws this sack over the kid. He has been insacked. That's the action. He will bandit try to move. Yes. The bandit will try to move. He's going to provoke again from Gertrude. And he's going to move half speed, so he can only go 15 feet because he's carrying somebody. It's essentially a grapple. He's going to move 15 feet towards the tree line. Which I think at 15 feet probably gets you into the tree line. But we'll give our girl a swing. She doesn't even need the bless. She's gonna whack this guy again with the staff. And Gertrud's gonna do 6 damage to this person. So they're not feeling well. She cracks this guy across the back of the head with her staff. There's a hollow crack of smacking that goes through the night. Here's some fluttering of like birds take off that were in the area. As he stumbles carrying the child in the bag. Is going to be the Drow Cultist. So the Drow Cultist will probably run. Can't use darkness again. You can't move darkness. I don't think that they're gonna have anything super useful here. Levitate's not going to be super useful here. Yeah, no, and so Volta's just going to book it. I think. Book it in that direction. So we're going to be 15... They're going to be 30 feet into the tree line. I think that makes sense. So now they've got the thing they're trying to get away now. Are they close to the walls? No, they're actually they cross the river. The castle's actually on the other side of the river. So they cross the river in the night. And so they're out in the open, and now they're running off into these sort of like evergreen forest woods. All right, Reed. Reed is blessed. Not that it helped him with his strength check. He is going to try to ungrapple himself. So he'll make a contested roll. Gonna roll okay. So he gets a 16 because the 2 from blessed just takes out his -2. All right, and the guy that's holding on to him also has a flat roll. And he's gonna break 3. So Reed, thump, falls out. He falls fully like out of the bag and kind of like slams onto the ground. Has enough movement to get up, but doesn't really have it. It takes your action to do that. So he could break. He could try to run back. No, they knocked the knife out of his hand. He didn't cut through it. I said that they knocked the knife out of his hand because he rolled a 0 earlier. So he just found this. He just pushed his way out of the opening because they haven't like tied the sack or anything yet. He's out. He can stand up and he'll move away 15 feet, I guess. So he's going to make it all the way back to basically the edge of the tree line. And he's at the tree line. And you are no longer at Reed. You are no longer at Reed. Go right next to Reed. Alright, Reed. Trying to do the best that he can, trying to get away. He pulls himself out of his bag and stands up and starts running back the other way. Alright, that leaves us with Cristof. Now, Cristof did a full run. He's going to have to do a full run again. And that'll get him up to the fire. He's at the fire. So, he and Reed are rushing towards each other. Cristof just caught up with Gertrudt. That's the end of his turn. There's nothing else he can do. He has to dash. A lot of running around. Alright. It is back up to Gertrudt. Gertrude is going to... She's blessed. She'll... What's she gonna do? Yeah, I think she's gonna go do... Basically go... She's gonna walk up, essentially, to Reed and place herself between Reed and the bandits. And she is going to ready in action to smack one of them with her staff again if they come near. Gonna do. So she's with ready action to attack. So she's just gonna be kind of defensive, try to let Reed get back to Cristof. The warrior, who at some point, if we're lucky, might be able to do a fighter thing. Might actually be able to do something in this combat. But he's just in the back, unfortunately. He doesn't really have any fun bonus actions that he can do yet until he's next to somebody, which he hasn't been. Alright, so our bandit comes up. Now, our bandit, we're going to play with the morale rules, which we've done on other streams. The morale rules basically work like this. Once most creatures hit about 50% of their hit points, they have less than half their hit points yet, they essentially need to make a charisma roll. We're going to roll a d20. They have to roll their charisma score or under. It's a roll under system. If they do that, then they stay in the fight. If they roll over their charisma, they go, I'm going to get out of here. They flee combat. And we're going to make morale checks basically if somebody generally falls with under 50% of their health or half their side of combat is going. Though it can cascade. So in this case, we could roll it. The bandit could decide to flee. If they flee, the drow comes up, their one partner is gone. They're now facing down 3 opponents, and they're like, actually, I think I'll probably leave too. So they'll have to make a morale check, and then maybe pass. Most monsters have pretty low charisma, so it works out really well. It's highly likely that they will flee, but very charismatic characters stay in the fight. Okay, so our bandit has a 10. All right, so we need a 11 or better on this d20. Nope, he's staying in the fight. Our Saurian's in it to win it. Well, we know what's going to happen. He's going to run back and try to grab Reed. As he runs back, Gertrude's going to take a swing at him. Because they're right next to each other. And she says, I said stop. And yeah, she brings down the hammer. And, it's in the dark. There's a lot of adrenaline going. I don't think she's pulling a punch here. I think she basically cracks the staff right across the dome of this guy as he's coming in. And he just crumples on the ground. And he's like, that guy might be dead. He's probably dead. She just really crunches this guy's head in with a staff. No means no. So, bandit is down. Gertrude MVP for sure. This could have gone real bad. Reed could 100% just gotten killed in this encounter if things had gone really weird and sideways. Could still, right? We can't talk about combat's not going on, but that bandit is down, and the tiefling just watched this. Watch Gertrude just smash this person's head in with a staff. And they're gonna make themselves a little charisma save as well. They got to roll. If they roll 11 or higher, they're just gonna book it. They do. They're like, ooh, actually, I'm gonna start running the other direction. So our tiefling is already 30 feet into the tree line. They turn around. They start heading back. They see Gertrude just crack this guy across the head with her staff, and he crumples to the ground. And she's like, I can't fight 3-on-1. I don't. And so there's no way I'm getting this kid out of here alive. They're not going to let me do that. So she turns and starts booking it. So she'll technically be at 90 feet, which I think is going to be out of range of everything. And I don't think that they're interested in chasing these people. Yeah, Reed's for sure trying to get back to the firelight. And, he's spooked and freaking out, and remember, he's high as a kite. He's kind of freaking out. He's not frightened, he's just like all amped up now, and he's like, I don't know what to do with all this energy. He just kind of like fumbles around and like stomps around for a little bit. As that person runs off into the darkness, Gertrude is going to get down on one knee and take a look at this person, because we're fully out of combat now. As Cristof's caught up, and is basically trying to protect. He's like gone to the tree line. He's like watching out, make sure nobody's coming, and he can hide in the tree line very easily with his what is it? The mask of nature. What's it called? Mask of the Wild. So like he steps into the gloom of the forest and he just kind of disappears, elf style, classic elf style. Gertrude's gonna bend down and like try to do a medicine check, or try to see if this guy's still alive. So we'll do a medicine check. Let's set the DC. Oh no, that's a very high DC, which makes sense. So that is a... Yeah. Alright, so that's a DC 16, so it's not unattainable, but it is quite high. So, she is trained in medicine, but she only has a +2 to that roll. Is that right? Yeah, medicine is wisdom. I don't know why I keep thinking it's intelligence. So she only has a +2 to the roll, so she's got to roll a 14. Here's the thing that's going to happen. If she doesn't make a 14, that dude is for sure dead. Doesn't make it. She puts down, you know, she puts her fingers on this, and he's like, nope, that, no response. Person's like, dead. And so she's gonna start fumbling. I think she's gonna investigate the body. Like, okay, maybe this person has something on them. So she's gonna rummage around. So we'll give her a little investigation check. Very good at, yeah, 24 for sure. I'm even gonna set a DC, she's gonna meet it. Alright, so we're gonna see. Question is, does she find anything meaningful, like on their pockets, like a note or something tied to a person? That's possible. But I think like most people in that situation don't give away their conspirators. They don't keep a list of names with them in case they get knocked out or somebody takes stuff from them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll honor minor treasures here. I'm going to roll for, I have a table. I use this is my Dungeon Master's little binder. A 2d6 table that is pocket contents. Technically, it's a d66 table. 4 and 4. So he's got some sort of like medicine on him. Nothing super important. Probably like some witch hazel or like chamomile or who knows. Good little salve of some type. How many things does he have in his pockets? 2. Alright, so he's got one other thing on him. 6 and 5. We got something. So if we roll a 6, by the way, this First one kind of tells you the category of things. 6 is paper. So he has a piece of paper on him. It's a map. Now, I can almost assure you this is where we hand off the ransom note. We hand off Reed to be ransomed. So she pulls it out and starts and unfurls it with her fingers and is like, okay. Looks at where they're supposed to take him. She is going to bring this to Reed's attention, because technically, Reed is supposed to be her master. At this point. I mean, really supposed to be after the commendation ceremony, but, yeah. You're gonna pull it to him and be like, young Master Reed, I found this map on this body. I believe this is where they were taking you, or planning to take you. She's very intelligent. I think she says, we could go there and find out who is behind this, if you desire. We know that he's halfling, therefore he is quite brave. But he is very cold. This is kind of an important thing. So I think that he's not going. He's going to say, no, I can't. I have to sit this vigil. Where did Cristof? He looks around and Cristof's gone. Maybe Cristof, or you and Cristof could check it out, I guess. But I have to stay here. He walks over, like, picks up his knife off the ground and puts it back in its sheath. Unless somebody else comes to kidnap me, I should be fine till morning. I don't think they'll do that once they know they failed. You're wise, young master. I will speak with Cristof. Sit your vigil. He turns around and heads back out into the woods. We'll give her a perception check. I don't think she's probably going to find him. Not with a 9. So he gets... it's dark and thing. He fully gets advantage on his stealth roll. Yeah. He's nowhere, but he's just keeping watch. So Cristof wanders back over Gertrude and comes up on her. Boy's all right? The boy is fine. Okay. I know they seem to just keep running, so I think we're safe. Sorry, I wasn't much help. Not yet, but you could be. Here. She hands over the note. I believe this is where they were meeting. We could find out who's behind this. Maybe, but we should also probably stick together. What are your thoughts, Gertrude? Gertrude, I think, is... She's pretty headstrong. I think she's interested in going to find out, like, if we don't deal with it now, we might never learn this information, and now that they know about us, it's because this person has seen us, and we've seen them, so this might be our only opportunity to find out who's behind this. So I think she's very much interested in going. So I think she communicates that. Cristof's like... Yeah, I guess it's true. It's like, what's the likelihood that somebody tries to kidnap Reed in the same night, twice in the same night? I guess that's unlikely. Here, we can go ahead and do. Little 2. with yeah, that's better. Well, I guess we should do that. I think I'm pretty stealthy. I know my ways around the woods, and I can see pretty well in the dark, so I can lead us without drawing too much attention. Maybe we can. You keep your eyes on the map, and we'll get where we're going. Agreed? Agreed. The two of them inform Reed of the situation, that they're going to leave, and they wish him the best, and they take off into the night, trying to follow this map to see where it leads to. Let's take a look at our ally. So we know this. It was in fact not assassins, but kidnappers. As far as Reed goes, I don't think anything else happens over the night. I think that's really the only person. He doesn't have a ton of enemies at court. So, or even people who see him as a rival or dislike him all that much. I think it's only a select few number of people that he knows about. Now, his commendation might be different. So I think that's probably where we'll pick up next time with him. So we'll pick up with the ceremony and what happens with our retainers. And I think the way that I'm going to do this is I think we're going to do the full resolution. We're going to do the ceremony. We're going to get all that done. And only then is he going to have the opportunity to speak with the retainers. Only after then will the retainers show up. So we'll probably do the big ceremony. Then we'll hop over and do the little retainers thing. Then we'll come back and we'll do all the people that he's hobnobbing with at sort of the reception. And he's going to get the gifts and things that he's getting from everything. And then they're going to show up. And then from there, we'll move on to what's next, which will probably be them preparing to leave. But it is the end of the session. And we did say at the end of the session we were going to roll for one of our things. I think I put this somewhere in the reference doc. Premise, our central plot, our campaign scope, etc. Slow and exhaustion. They're extended. Somewhere. Status. That's upon reaching the new feed. Oh, we were going to wait to do that until he reaches. Do we want to do that? No, I think we'll do it every session. Do that at the end. So, I think the one that he really... We're trying to be thematic with it. So I think that the one that he really showcased today out of his things... we could go Wisdom because he was pretty perceptive. He picked up on the perception stuff. And made a number of pretty good judgment calls. But I think what I really want to hone in is on the Strength. Because he was able to basically extricate himself from that sack and make his way back. So we could make that either Dexterity or Strength. He did get the dagger knocked out of his hand, which seems like maybe a Strength thing. So maybe we'll go with Dexterity. So we're going to roll a d6 for his Dexterity. No, I changed my mind. I like Strength better. Let's do Strength. Because knowing whether he's going to be strong or not gives us a very clear option about what classes he might spec into. But being good at Dex is great for every class. Oof. A 5. 5's great. take that. So he starts to understand, come into his own, and understand truly what he can do with his body. Not that he basically had to fight an adult off, which now he realizes that he has. Oh, sorry, 12. 6 plus 1 plus 5, which is very good. So that will be his full final strength score. Now, once he levels up, we're going to allow the ability to re-roll that. An ability score that has a 1 in it. So that's why we're tracking each individual ability score. Here, I realize that you guys can't see all that. So. Which I rolled a number of last time when we were rolling a stat. So, you know, not great. So, I'm going to have a 12 strength. Okay. Like I said, this is more of a... it gamifies things a little bit, but I want to show that, oh, this is clearly a thing where he's like, oh, I obviously need to work on this a lot. This is important just to be like, not to get kidnapped or killed, or right, I need to have like the physical strength to defend myself. So we see him mature in that way. And again, we have the opportunity to re-roll that 1 later on a level up. So it might go even higher. The idea is that Reed should end up at the end of it all with really pretty good stats. Pretty decent stats. Like above average, for sure above average. But I think that's going to be it for the stream, guys. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. Very, very interesting. I was really excited to get this one off the ground. It's a little weird trying to get back into the movements of trying to do the solo thing on stream, but I've been playing solo, but it's all just by myself for, you know, casual fun, you know, especially like all the Ironsworn stuff. So it's been a little bit interesting because I'm like, oh, there's stuff I know, but I gotta make sure that you guys are aware of it too. And so getting back into that stuff is a little cumbersome, but we'll get there. Every session will become a lot easier and faster and quicker. But hopefully, if you guys like this content, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more of this content, if you're on Twitch, you should follow. If you're on YouTube, you should subscribe. And check out some of our other stuff. And if you want to check about, obviously there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this campaign already, even with Session 1. There's so much backstory and world building. It's so delicious. Building it all up. So if you want to see all that stuff and watch me build that stuff, there's going to be a playlist that this video is going to be in. And the first, like 3 videos in that, it kind of shows me building the stuff out. So if you want to see what the map looks like, and we can show you the map real quick right before we drop off, because we didn't even pull up the map today. Which is good, because I need to pull up the map, because I'm going to have to take a look at it and try to maybe think about where the map, the in-game map we got, goes to as far as where in the world. Carmen San Diego. Let me see. County map. We might drop down in and actually do the local map. That's okay. All right. Here, I'll throw us over. This is the last little tidbit before we get up. If you guys, this is the first one that you're watching. So all you need to know is that this is a really zoomed out. This is zoomed in a little bit more. We're all right here. And so this hex becomes this big hex over here. And within that is all this stuff, which a little bit. And right now we're down. Where are we at? Boop, we're right here. That is where the prince is. And the place that our boy is from originally is way down here. So when I said that Cristof had to go travel for a very long way, he had to travel from here all the way up to here. And actually I need to swing by which one is it? It's one of these. I cannot remember which one. He has to swing by one of these guys to pick up Gertrudt. Anyways, Cristof has been walking for a long time to get there. Because each one of these little hexes is, this is the county scale, so each one's about 10 nautical miles. So 12-ish normal miles. So it's a lot of walking. You have to worry. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It's always fun. I am so excited to see what happens. I'm so glad that Reed survived his first combat and didn't get kidnapped. That would have, man, talking about throwing a monkey wrench in the start of the campaign. If they had just failed it, this would have, start to the campaign would be wildly different, which is not a bad thing. That's why we roll the dice. But I'm glad that things are going on track the way that I was expecting them to. That's not always the case, and we'll see that it'll change. I didn't know that he was potentially going to get kidnapped. So that's what it is. All right. Check out next time. Until then, bye guys.